Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Para Que Hablar podcast. We are your host, Yulisa,
and Yasmin Para.
and we are the Para sisters. And on today's episode, we are going to be talking about spookier subjects. Both me and Yasmin researched different topics, so it's going to be an interesting talk. I'm going to be starting off the podcast with the Ouija board subject. Yasmin, I don't know if you know that much about Ouija boards. I know you've heard of them, right?
Yeah, I've definitely heard of them and I've seen movies based off them, but it really doesn't describe the origin of the Ouija board. So, I mean, I've never really done my own research on it, but I definitely have heard of some stories that have included in a Ouija board.
Yeah, and I feel like a few of the facts that I found are gonna kind of surprise you because I mean, the facts that I found are really interesting. They interested me a lot. It's a scary subject, but it's also an interesting subject. So, one of the first facts that I found from the Ouija board originating is that in 1891 it began being sold as a talking board, and it was being sold at $1.50. Can you believe that?
Oh my gosh, no,
I
I
know.
can't.
And then after that, I found that the Ouija board, has really never changed its design since it was first made. It really has never changed. It was originally used to be made up completely of wood. The board and the planchette that goes along with it, all used to be made out of wood completely. And nowadays, the ones that they still sell in stores, I think Walmart even still sells it, if I'm not mistaken. It usually the planchette is made out of plastic and the board is made out of cardboard. But that's really the only difference that there has been during this entire uh time that the Ouija board has been invented. Um Even today, psychologists believe that it may offer a connection between the known and the unknown. So we're talking about experts saying this. Can you believe that?
No.
Um, Ouija board historian Robert Murch has been researching the board since 1992. He claims no one really knows about its origins, which struck him as odd, because such a big thing, such a really known. I think a lot of people know about the Ouija board, and really no one knows where it came from.
Mm-hmm.
So that is really weird. Um, the Ouija board became very popular due to a 19th century spiritualism obsession. People were more desperate than ever to contact dead loved ones because people were dying very young during the Civil War years. And that really made the Ouija board popular. And that's what began making it a big seller in the stores. Um, in 1890, Elijah Bond, along with other investors, started a company to exclusively sell Ouija boards, but had not come up with a name. That is until Helen Peters, his sister in law, asked the board directly what it wanted to be called. And the board responded, Ouija, Ouija. She then proceeded to ask what that meant, and the board responded, good luck. So the board essentially named itself. Like, that to me is like, wow. That sent chills down my spine when I read that. Literally, because I researched this during the nighttime.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about the board calling itself Ouija?
I feel like I don't know. I feel like that's kind of weird. Like Ouija is such a abnormal name, if that makes sense. Like you've never seen that name anywhere.
Yeah.
And I've never seen the name anywhere besides knowing the Ouija board.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of weird how it's just it's like a peculiar name that you never hear anywhere. It's so abnormal.
Yeah. So before Elijah could get the Ouija board on store shelves, they had to get a patent. And a patent is essentially a license proving that your item works so that it can be sold on store shelves. Um, they went down to the office, and the officer, which was helping them out, demanded the board spell his name. Um, he did not inform Elijah or Helen, his sister in law. He did not inform them his name. So he wanted the board to do this to prove that it worked. Tell me why the board ended up spelling this man's name.
Really?
Yeah, and so the man, the officer, ended up awarding them this license to be able to sell the Ouija board. So, like, that's just another crazy little fact that I found. Um, After this, the Ouija board began selling basically as a toy because that's what they were marketing it as, and it's still to this day is in toy sections, if I'm not mistaken. So I don't know why they decided to go this toy route. I think it's because it's basically used as a game, a board, like a board game.
Yeah.
So, but continuing on, William Fuld took over the company in 1893 as it continued to grow and expand. He later died in 1927 from a horrible fall off of the roof of his newly built factory, a factory that the Ouija board told him to build. So we just keep getting these crazy, weird facts. Like, what do you think about this, Yasmin?
I feel like that's like wait, okay, so he like was asking the board questions and the board told him to build a factory.
Yeah, that's the most peculiar part of it is the fact that the people who first started, making the company to sell the Ouija board actually did use the Ouija board and frequented it. You like it was a normal thing for them to use the Ouija board. So I guess
So
he asked the Ouija board what he should do with his business, and the Ouija board told him to build this factory.
so what was he like using the board as?
I don't know.
Like a device or
I guess they were using it as like, yeah, like a device. Like what should I do with my company, with like basically using it as like what is a person that gives you tips called?
mentor?
Yeah, like a mentor. That's the perfect word. Yeah, they were using the board as a mentor as some sort. And he ended up basically dying off of this factory that the Ouija board told him to build. So
How
is that not weird?
how did he die?
He fell off of the roof.
Oh, he fell off the roof?
Yeah.
Oh. Was it like
And it was
for
like a weird fall. It wasn't like, oh wow, like he just like any fall is weird if you think about it, but
yeah,
still, like
yeah,
it
that's what I was
was
gonna
just a
say.
weird, horrible fall.
Was it like deemed as like a accident or like
Yeah,
he
deemed
committed
as an accident.
suicide?
Mhm.
It was deemed as an accident.
Mhm.
Was it because like it had something to do with like the workplace?
I guess they thought that maybe he just had some type of slip. Um where I guess since he didn't know the place that well, since it's a newly built factory, he just had some type of slip up or something and ended up falling off of the roof.
I feel like that's a little bit weird for them to
Yeah,
deem it
there's
as an
really no
accident.
explanation for it. So,
Yeah, but and I also wouldn't understand as like why they would advertise that as a game if they know it has
yes.
something to do with spiritual and paranormal. I
Yeah.
feel like that's something that they should have sent to like investigators,
I
paranormal
don't know why they
investigators.
would name it as a toy either. They should have named it as like, I don't know, something else, like something for just exclusively adults. Because if
Yeah.
you think about it, a kid could literally ask for a Ouija board in the toy section. We're talking about them being in toy sections to this day. So,
Yeah, and I believe on on like the box itself it says that it's a toy. Like I think it says
oh
it's like a
yeah.
game, like a board game to play with your friends and stuff.
Yeah.
And it doesn't say any like I don't think it has a warning, does it?
I don't think I've never examined the box. I've never even seen a real Ouija board box. So I'm too scared of that.
Yeah, I've never seen one either.
Yeah, and I hope to God I never do.
No, I feel like it'd be really interesting though. I feel like we all have that curiosity in
I
us.
would never, even if I did have the box in front of me, like I might look at the box, but I am not opening the box. No. Like even just the thought of looking at the board itself scares me. So, continuing on with the next fact that I found that after the 1920, a lot of mysterious Ouija board stories started being published in the newspaper. Stories about how the Ouija board told people to kill their siblings, to kill their spouses, even some friends. And I also found some success stories thanks to the Ouija board. I found some publishers, some authors thanking the Ouija board for helping them write successful books and successful poems. So it all these stories basically gave it more fame. Uh, so it's just crazy. And after that, in 1967, it outsold the board game Monopoly. That is how popular the Ouija board started being.
Monopoly?
Yeah. You know
That's
how freaking
crazy.
popular Monopoly is, and it
Yeah.
outsold that. That's
That's yeah,
how.
that's definitely outstanding.
Yeah, that's literally just like you said, outstanding. After 1973, the board started becoming popular among horror movie writers and movie makers. After being featured on the big hit The Exorcist, where it showed like Reagan being possessed because she used the board.
Hmm.
So it started being kind of like a more spookier subject. Before that, people were used to seeing scary stories about the Ouija board, but they related it more to like dead people and ghosts and stuff. But after that, that being it being featured on The Exorcist, I feel like people more started looking at it in a demonic way, like the devil and demons and all that stuff.
I mean, I feel like if it can cause things like that, then it is considered that.
True, because if you think about the killings that it caused or
Yeah.
supposedly
Or like
caused,
possess when they possess individuals.
yeah,
I feel like that definitely I would consider that to be demonic. Any.
yeah. And Ouija boards to this day are still being sold in stores for $20 or so. There are even some Ouija board apps. Can you believe that? I didn't even know that.
I didn't how are you supposed to play that? Don't you have to have three fingers on the
I
planchette?
have no idea. I don't even want to know, but I know that there are Ouija board apps where like literally like you can use the Ouija board on your phone.
Would that
So
actually work?
I have no idea. I didn't investigate much into the apps, but yeah, it's crazy. And there was a lot of controversy also I saw online during this one time where Toys R Us were selling pink Ouija boards, like girly, like Barbie Ouija boards basically. It wasn't marketed with Barbie, but it was kind of like a girly Ouija board. So they were definitely marketing these to kids cuz why would you put pink on a board like that and expect adults to buy it. Like they were definitely targeting kids.
Yeah, they were changing
So,
the image of it in order to, like, I guess, get kids to get
yeah, to
it.
like
Yeah,
it
to buy
more.
it. Yeah,
Yeah. So, doesn't that make you think
that's
like why is
crazy.
that company doing that?
Yeah, I feel like it could have also just been like because it's for marketing, definitely. Like they definitely want to pull kids in with the pink. But I feel like that's really odd because if they know that there's been situations going on with the board,
Mhm.
I don't know why they would still, even then, try to market it even more.
Yeah.
But I think it was also because since they had outsold Monopoly and stuff like that.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah,
So
they
they
were
were kind of like, let's try to make it more popular than Monopoly,
yeah, and
more
aiming.
popular than other games. You're right. That's a good thought right there. But I know that a lot of parents were angry about that being, sold in stores like that and the pink and all that stuff. So it did create a firestorm. But now to this day, still there are vintage Ouija boards being sold on eBay as well. When I say vintage, I mean the ones that I was talking about earlier, where they were made completely of wood.
Of wood.
Yeah, so they're like more original. We're not talking cardboard plastic.
And I feel like those could also tend to be more powerful because they've been used before.
And I've seen that people have even been passing down their Ouija boards. Because I came across this one story where this guy was talking about how he keeps a Ouija board that has been in his family for years and years and years. It used to be like his great 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 grandmother's, like, and he says that he doesn't use it very often, but he still does use it. So it's kind of like almost like a treasure that they keep passing it down.
Like an
So
artifact.
yeah, it's crazy. I was like, why would you keep passing something like that down if it's just a game or a toy?
I feel like there could be something deeper to it though.
Yeah, because like that's crazy how they treasure this game
It's almost like a
so much.
tradition.
It's almost like if someone was passing down Monopoly. That's not, you can't compare the two things.
Yeah.
So yeah. I found some articles about a lot of people being contacted by a demon called Zozo. Zozo.
Hmm.
And people were talking about how they've encountered this demon playing the Ouija board. To this day, there has not been any confirmation if this demon is real or not, but a lot of people have said that they have encountered him playing the Ouija board and that this demon is almost like a lot of people think he's the creator of the Ouija board because that's how popular he is among stories. It all started with this one guy that posted his story about his encounter with Zozo, and from there on, a lot of people were saying that they've had the same or similar experience, where this demon wants to like overtake the board and come out of the board. And what they mean by that is like he tries to move the planchette off of the board and all that stuff so that he can be like freed. So people always say that if you encounter Zozo on the Ouija board, that you need to end the game immediately. That's what have I've basically found online. So that's another scary thing to add on to this.
That's weird.
Yeah.
In
That
like different parts of the world.
yeah, and everyone's saying like Zozo, like everyone's saying that they've
I feel like
encountered
Zozo's a
this.
really scary name too.
Yeah, I
Not
know.
to add on to it,
I
Zozo.
know. Like it reminds me of like Momo. You
Yeah,
heard of that?
Mama.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too when you said it.
Yeah, and I found a really interesting case. I don't know if you've ever heard of this case, but it sounds really, really weird and really real. And it's called the Vallecas case. And it all started with a Ouija board. So the Vallecas case is about a young lady whose name was Estefania Gutierrez Lázaro. She was from Madrid, Spain, and she, along with two other friends, decided to play the Ouija board to try to contact one of her friends' boyfriends that had recently passed away in a motorcycle accident. So they decided to play the Ouija board at school, and one of the teachers actually caught them. And when this teacher caught them, she broke the Ouija board in half. And Estefania's friend recalled that she saw black smoke come out of the glass cup that they were using as a planchette. And it had gone around her Estefania's face. So after this incident, Estefania began having convulsions, began having hallucinations, and she began having episodes where she would even attack her family members, her siblings, and her parents. And her parents did not know what was wrong with her. They took her to several doctors, they took her to several hospitals, and no one could figure out what she had. They did suspect that she had epilepsy, but there was nothing that was 100% like a diagnosis from a doctor as to why these occurrences were happening to her. So after about a year of this happening, she just kept deteriorating, and one day she just woke up and she was already, gone. She had passed away from these episodes that she was having. After she passed away, though, the family kept getting haunted. The family said that they kept getting tormented by like screams, by what they say shadow people, that they kept having weird occurrences in the home, like doors slamming shut and on their own and stuff like that. And they said that the part of the house that they felt was like the most had the most paranormal occurrences going on in there would be the bathroom. So one night, the family ended up calling the cops because stuff got so scary for them they had to call the cops. The cops end up coming to the home, and they see these occurrences that were happening in the home. So this eventually leads up to a police report being filed, and this police report reports, the weird occurrences. And this is the first ever police report to basically state paranormal activity in the police report. So it's a scary case. I've always thought that it sounded really real. They ended up making a movie named Veronica that you could watch on Netflix, I believe. And it's based on this case. It's loosely based on this case. The family then also says that at one point, Estefania's picture actually caught on fire, just the part where her face was. So the whole case seems really creepy like. Um, After that, after I think a little bit more time went by after the police filed the report and everything like that, they eventually moved away. And after being contacted, to follow up on their new home and stuff like that, they said that they no longer experienced any paranormal activity in their new home. And a new family moved into Estefania's, old home, and that family also stated that they never had any paranormal activity in that house once they moved in. So it's weird. Is this like some type of hoax? Was this a coincidence or what happened? But because I think it's weird that everything just suddenly stopped once they moved out. Nothing else with the new people, nothing in their new home. It's almost as if like Estefania's soul finally rested or something. But
I don't think her soul rested. I just feel like maybe hers, like, I don't understand though why she would be tormenting her family if you think about it.
yeah, because that's what her family would say, that they felt tormented by her because they would hear her screams, they would hear her calling out for help and stuff like that. So it's,
I feel like maybe the Stephanie. That's really scary though. Like,
what if she was
imagine your
fighting for
picture
her soul
burning.
though?
I guess it could be like that because then that would explain why everything calmed down after. But I definitely feel like it has something to do with her family.
Why? What do you think her family has to do with it?
I just feel like maybe since, like, I don't know, maybe since like it's just her family. Like, I don't know how else to describe it or like put it
So
into
you think
words,
it's
but I
all
think
in just like their heads?
no, I don't think it's in their heads at all because if it was happening to others, like if others saw it
The
happen,
police?
yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like that's definitely weird and very interesting, like oddly to me that that was the first report that ever had any mention of paranormal activity because I feel like they would not mention that.
And like even to this
And
day,
I
the picture of the picture that I mentioned of Estefania's face, where her face was burned off of the picture, to this day, like you could find it on the internet. You could Google it. That really happened, and there shows like I think there's even some videos of where they were in her home,
That's really scary. Like I couldn't imagine just like
and they ended up making a movie out of this case.
yeah, yeah, I've seen the movie Veronica.
I wish they would have made a documentary where they could have interviewed like her family, and we could have really gotten like a deeper dive into her case.
What was her ethnicity?
They're from Spain, so
Oh,
they're, yeah,
so they spoke Spanish.
yeah, mhm,
Oh, dang.
yeah,
I feel like that makes it. I don't know. For some reason, I feel like that makes it all the more interesting
yeah.
because
And if you see the videos and or at least the pictures of like the house, just the pictures give you a weird vibe. At least for me, I
yeah,
feel
because
like that this is one of the few cases where it looks really realistic, but then I feel like what makes it almost seem not realistic is the fact that everything stopped once they moved. Like, what was so bad about them living there that once they
but I
moved,
feel like it is
everything
realistic
stopped?
though because there's I feel like there's enough evidence to where they would make a movie out of it. You know.
Yeah.
So I feel like if somebody else were to believe that it wasn't real, they would not make a whole movie out of it. And I believe, if I recall correctly, I believe that either in the end Yeah, I believe in the end or in the beginning of Veronica, they showed pictures of the actual girl, and I believe they showed the picture of Estefania's picture being burnt.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and then I remember that because at the beginning I think it was like based on a true story or something like
And
that.
also, yeah, I recall seeing pictures of Estefania for sure.
Hmm.
And just like her face looks kind of creepy. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know. I'm sorry. Like,
I
I'm not
know
trying to be
she's not.
disrespectful.
Yeah,
I'm just trying to say, like, her face kind of looked creepy. I don't know if it's just her
I just feel like
face.
it. Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I feel like it's just the story behind it. 'Cause if like she looks normal in herself,
Yeah.
but I feel like knowing everything that goes on behind it, like the fact that she did the Ouija board, she
Yeah.
died, and all
Her
that stuff was
family
going on in
says
her
her
home.
family says that they knew that she had been practicing the occult, like reading into like witchcraft and stuff like that.
My question is why though?
I
Like,
have no
if it
idea.
had to do
Maybe
with
it
her
just piqued
friends,
your curiosity.
I mean, I guess that would kind of make sense, but they did the Ouija board because of her friend's boyfriend passing away.
Yeah.
My thing is, why would like okay, I don't know because I've never had an instance in where I've wanted to talk to somebody who's already dead, but I feel as though as like you should just leave them to rest. Like, why do you wanna talk to them? You know?
Yeah.
I guess it could just be a part of them that wants to like say goodbye to them, but
Yeah,
at the
maybe
same time, I feel
closure.
like things happen for a reason, and you didn't say bye to them, and they passed suddenly for a reason. So I feel like there's you should
I
not
think
touch
it's
it.
just part of some people want to almost like, yeah, just like you said, to get closure, and then it's also part of like some people's grieving where they kind of want to have something comfort them, and that might that comforting thing might be them talking to them through the Ouija board.
Yeah, I feel like that definitely could make
But it
sense.
also, yeah, it might seem innocent, but stuff that seems innocent turns up being, kind of scary sometimes if you think
Yeah.
about it. So, moving on into my last little bit of research into the Ouija board stuff, the most recent kind of thing that we've had mentioning the Ouija board in our years that we've been alive has been the Charlie challenge, which it's not a challenge where it uses the Ouija board, but it's almost like a mini Ouija board that people create with pencils and with like a piece of notebook paper. So I don't know if you've ever seen it online, but it started being popular back in 2015. People say that it originated in Mexico from a game that was called the Pencil Game, and from there on that it started, basically the name started being changed into Charlie because people think that the demon attached to the Charlie game is named Charlie. So that's basically how this little mini Ouija board game has originated. Um, if you haven't seen the Charlie challenge, people basically draw a cross on a piece of notebook paper, and then they put yes on one corner, yes in the other, and then no on the two corners that are left. They balance two pencils on top of each other in the middle of the paper on the cross that you drew, and then you basically ask questions like um am I gonna die tomorrow, or whatever you want to ask the Charlie game, and then the pencils are supposed to then move to whatever answer the demon is supposed to give you, yes or no. And people say that it's been kind of debunked as like a fake game because if you breathe a little too hard when you're asking the question, it's supposed to move the pencil and stuff like that. So the Charlie to me is like basically just like a little trend people made, but I don't think it has anything demonic attached to it. As far as I've seen, the Charlie game has not made any like murderers kill anyone or anything like
I
that.
just feel like people do that just to scare, but I don't think it's
Yeah.
really there. I believe that Charlie is a hoax.
Yeah, I think it's just like a little game that people like want to make it like a legend or something like that.
I remember it was popular like before, but I've never done it.
Yeah, and I feel like it was way popular in Hispanic communities. And then I think that's where the rumor that it came from Mexico came from, because a lot of Hispanic people knew about it. But yeah, that's basically what I researched into the Ouija board. We're gonna move into Yasmin's topic. Yasmin, what did you end up researching?
Okay, so the topic that I ended up researching is the Blue Whale Challenge. So, the origin of the Blue Whale Challenge, it first appeared on social media platforms like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram in the year 2017, and allegedly it originated from Russia. So, over the course of 50 days, players are directed by others, usually called administrators, to engage in many forms of self harm. The name sprouts from the unexplained phenomenon where in whales stray away from the herd and beach themselves in a deliberate manner, causing their death. So basically, like whales stray away from the rest of just the rest of the whales, and they basically kill themselves going on land.
Whoa, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Is that why some blue whales wash up on shore?
that's exactly
So it's like
why.
they commit suicide?
Yeah, it's like basically they kill themselves because they go away. Like
I
they
did
basically kill
not
themselves.
know that. That is interesting.
Yeah, so that's why. I mean, I think I've known that since whenever I heard about this challenge, I remember I was like, "That's weird how it's called the blue
Have
whale."
marine biologists looked into why this
But
happens at
yeah,
all?
they have, and they find it really weird because there really is no explanation. They literally just kill themselves.
That is some crazy. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so basically, they cause their own death, basically committing suicide, and that's where the name sprouts from. So basically, during the first days of what you would call the Blue Whale Challenge, a player and or a participant might be given certain tasks that can be described as simple due to the fact that they progressively worsen each task. So these simple tasks, such as watch a horror movie or drink coffee and stay up all night, followed by put on headphones and listen to heavy metal music at the highest volume until your ears bleed. Some more tasks that progressively worsen are pulling off dangerous stunts in traffic, ingesting poisonous liquids, cutting or burning skin, and deliberately fracturing bones. So they progressively worsen because I guess like you would call like watching a horror movie simple because basically these like administrators, they like in the challenge, I guess you're like you take it's almost like you take dares from someone. Like they tell you what to do. Like they tell you watch this horror movie and you watch it, or they're like listen to this song and you listen to the song because they're
Mm-hmm.
telling you. And in the rules, it tells you like to ask the administrator. So ask the person what they want you to do, like what horror movie they want you to watch, or like because at the end of the day, I think they end up sending it to you so that you can watch it. So it's a really weird challenge because I guess it includes two people, and
Is it like a challenge per day or?
yeah, it's over the course of 50 days. So yeah, it's a 50-day challenge basically,
Oh my
and each day
goodness.
you do a task. So that's why I said it progressively worsens. So it kind of starts off with some simple tasks like stay up all night or like
The first few days.
yeah, yeah. So it's like simple at the beginning, I guess you would describe it as, but also not because I feel like it kind of shifts throughout the days. So at the first one it's like simple. It's like, oh, like write this or draw a whale. And then like on the seventh day it's like carve this into your arm. And then on the eighth day it's like, oh, listen to music. So like it kind of shifts from like bad to not good, I wouldn't say, but like
Mm-hmm.
it shifts from like bad to a bit better, more simpler to worse, and then again to more simpler.
From what I remember when this was all happening, I remember that the people that were participating in this were like teenagers and young adolescents. Like
Yeah,
jóvenes, you
yeah,
know.
yeah, and honestly, like I would don't know why people would take interest into a challenge that you literally end up killing
Yeah,
yourself.
because they went into it knowing that, right?
Yeah, because it's like a stack of rules that I believe obviously you're going to read beforehand you do the challenge. So I
And
don't
and
understand
and
why.
you have to like sign up for it or
No, it's basically like you just start by yourself, kind of like hold on, I'll get into it a
oh,
little bit
okay.
more when I describe. So, the final task on the 50th day is committing suicide in a public setting. These participants film themselves doing these daily tasks and uploading them on social media with inclusion of certain hashtags, which is how you basically start. So, like on the first day, you put hashtag Blue Whale Challenge, and then basically you start, and that's how people know that you're doing the challenge, obviously, because you use a hashtag. So that's how you start the challenge, I guess, by beginning to upload it.
So once you start the challenge, I'm assuming you can't stop.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because then you have someone watching you. You have the administrator that's telling you
Oh
what to
my
do.
gosh, that sounds scary.
Yeah. So players are intrigued by the amount of followers and views they gain throughout the 50 days. They frequently commit suicide by jumping off the balcony of a high rise building, yelling, screaming, and causing a commotion to attract a crowd. So they tend to cause big scenes like this in hopes of getting others who are around to film this and to then upload it so that then others see what's going on and then they also know about the Blue Whale Challenge. So it's kind of basically to get the attention from others to this challenge, which then again it's a little bit confusing because um I feel like a lot of young people want to do this challenge because they like the gain of followers, they like the gain of views, but at the end of the day I feel like it doesn't matter because you're gonna like commit suicide. So I feel like all these views and all these followers you're gaining is basically for nothing. You're just giving them a show to like,
To
watch.
your suicide.
Yeah, which is actually really, that's really sickening actually, because why would you want to watch someone throughout 50 days basically harm
And
themselves and
deteriorate to their death.
yeah, literally just at the end of the 50 days see them die. Like it was just this challenge, I guess, is just really messed up. I don't even know why it's really considered a challenge. But I have gathered some of the tasks players are instructed to do during the 50 days, and they are the following. So, one of them are carve with the razor F57 on your hand. Wake up at 4:20 a.m. and go to a roof. Don't talk to anyone all day. Go to a bridge and stand on the edge. Cut your lip, poke your hand with the needle many times, and do something painful to yourself. Make yourself sick. So these are some of the challenges that are the some of the some of the challenges or tasks that you're basically instructed to do. There was more graphic ones, but I chose a less one to mention. I didn't want to go too graphic on these, but those are still, a little
Pretty
bit,
graphic.
yeah.
I think that to me it sounds like it also involves a lot of self harm. Like
Yeah.
you're doing a lot of stuff to yourself.
Yeah, because I know that when I was going through the list or the tasks of them, one of them was like carve a whale into your arm, and then it was like ask the administrator what horror movies to watch and stuff like that. And I feel like a lot of these are literally just self harm, like based on it. So I feel like that the whole challenge is just to promote self-harm, which is, like I said, I don't know why that's a challenge. Don't know
Wow.
why people even follow these challenges
Mhm.
around, because these are just to harm yourself. So I mean, I guess like suicidal people would do that, but I feel like if any ways, like they should look for help, instead of promoting a
Mhm.
suicidal challenge or game or whatever this is would be, described as.
Mhm.
So, whenever I saw this, I kind of got really curious about why this started and where it sprouted from.
Mhm.
So, I was looking a little bit deeper into it and I found the story of Rina Pelenkova. So on November 22nd of 2015, Rena, a teenager living in southeastern Russia, posted a selfie. In the photo, she is standing outside. A black scarf is wrapped around her mouth and nose. She is sticking her middle finger up at the camera. It looks like it's covered in dry blood. The photo's caption read, Naya bye. The next day, she took her own life, and shortly after, Rena's story merged with other stories of teenager suicide. On Christmas Day 2015, 12-year-old Angelina Davidova killed herself in the Russian city of Ryazan. So did Diana Kuznetsova, a teenager from the same city. When the parents examined the online accounts left behind, their daughters, they found something curious. The two girls were part of similar online groups. These groups included drawings of Rena's suicide. So basically, they were in these online chat groups, such as like Reddit and stuff like that. Don't really know. I didn't really look into what groups they were in, but point of the fact is that these groups were actually popular in Russia. Um, because they were known for like discussing certain things, and during this time is whenever the whole thing with Rina Palenkova was going on, so they were actually following Rina Palenkova's case. And Rina Palenkova, which is like I talked about earlier, she had posted a selfie in the photo she is sticking her middle finger up and all of that, and it's because I think that was a task that she had to do before she ended up dying the next day, because that was the 49th day that she had posted that selfie. And so she knew she was going to die, which is why she had captioned the photo Naya Bye. Which then again, I don't know how, I guess she could be so chill with the fact that she knew that she was gonna end up committing suicide the next day. And it's really sad because these are like really young people. Like, for example, the 12-year-old Angelina. I don't understand how, like, I just feel like these young children are really like, I guess, vulnerable. And that's really sad that they were following what went on with Rena just to end up doing the same thing and falling into this blue whale challenge because of how popular it had become. And it's like I don't understand why these groups still go on, these chat groups, because they were both the girl Diana and Angelina, they were both in the same chat group. And it's actually coincidental that they both have Kova or Sova in their name. I just realized that when I was reading, I was like, that's really coincidental. Is that like a popular name in Russia? No, but yeah, it definitely makes you think like what else they could be discussing, because um they were actually following, there's a lot of people who obsess over the blue whale challenge. They follow other people's cases, they kind of motivate them, because I know that in some of the tasks it's like to talk to another, what you would call them, whale. So it's like
Whoa.
talk to another
So they
whale,
would
so another
literally call
person.
themselves whales?
Yeah,
That's spooky.
they refer to themselves in the task as whales. So it's like talk to another whale or go and find another whale. And you basically just discuss another person with like another person that's also doing the challenge.
So they would know each other, and they knew that like soon all of them were going to eventually kill themselves.
Yeah, which is, like I said, really
It
disturbing.
sounds like almost like a suicide pact. If you think about it, it is a suicide pact
Yeah.
between all of them. Like we're all gonna kill ourselves eventually.
Yeah, and that's why I'm like, it's a really odd challenge, cuz I remember whenever I had first heard about this challenge, I actually found it really weird, because I remember a lot of people were like talking about how disturbing it was, and then they were talking about how it like kind of promoted self-harm. And at the time I was really confused. I was like, how can a challenge, promote self-harm? It was until I looked into it and then I saw that, obviously it was like um hurting yourself basically. And I just like, I don't understand how, cuz like in the challenges it like says to ingest like poisonous liquids. Wouldn't a poisonous liquid kill you?
I was about to say that since most of these challenges involve self harm, can't one person like accidentally go too far or something and then accidentally kill themselves before like the 50 days are up?
I mean, I guess I feel that is definitely possible. I feel like if they go overboard or like cut a vein, because that's actually one of the challenges where you cut, I think it was three of your veins.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, yeah, they, like I said, they get really graphic and they get worse.
Why does this sound like something that would come from like the dark web?
I don't know, but it definitely comes from a chat room
This sounds
in
like some
Russia.
like a challenge that someone older like like searched up like about the whales or found out about that fact that you talked about the whales, and then they decided like I'm gonna make this into like human form. So and then that's why they decided to like make the blue whale challenge.
Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely, I don't know. I just find this whole challenge really weird because I do know I saw that this one person had actually went to jail because they were motivating someone else to like literally kill themselves
Yeah, that
because
that
they were like following their
their account.
challenge, yeah. Because they were
Whoa.
following what they were posting. They
Yeah,
were
that
even
sounds
Skyping
sounds
them
like
and stuff like that.
accomplice. Like
Mhm.
you're being an accomplice to a crime, to a suicide, to
Yeah.
instead of reporting it, like this person is trying to kill themselves.
Yeah,
You're
and
basically cheering them on.
exactly. And I remember whenever they had, I guess like checked his stuff, he was following multiple people around and talking to multiple people who were participating in the
Yeah,
challenge,
that guy needs to be in jail,
which
whoever that
is,
was.
yeah, that's really sickening. I don't know why you would want people to kill themselves. Like, I don't,
I feel
that's,
like the challenge also was more towards like teenagers and young people because young people are easily swayed.
yeah.
So it's easy to manipulate them and tell them to do stuff versus like an adult, you know?
Yeah, and I feel like nowadays, at least nowadays, like in this generation, like during these times, I feel like there's a lot more young people who are who get like sudden waves of like I guess sadness, and then they get like depression. They get depression and stuff like that, and then they look to like I would say like chat rooms to like talk to someone or like look for some help, but instead they find themselves with people like talking about like this challenge. And
And
that's
that sounds
why,
like that could be a possibility.
yeah, and I definitely feel like I don't understand why a 12-year-old would do that.
I mean, I feel like for example, for the 12-year-old, she could have been looking for like some sort of help, and she could have stumbled upon that. And just like you said, they call each other whales. So in a way, maybe she found like comfort in like knowing other people are going through same or similar problems to her, and she thought that this challenge is like a good way for me to stop feeling pain or
Mhm.
something like that. Because that to me, that sounds like something like that could be very real, like trying to convince them like this is like the perfect way for you not to feel pain anymore.
Mhm.
This blue whale challenge, you're gonna find peace and stuff like that. If I think about what like older people were trying to say to young people, trying to convince them to do this challenge.
Yeah. And during this time it was like 2017 when
Yeah,
they
and
did.
during that time, during 2017, I remember that's when Instagram was starting to pop off. Do you
Yeah.
remember that?
Yeah, that's why I also believe that they were
Because I remember during
definitely
that
like
time,
going.
Ice Bucket Challenge. During that
Oh
time, there were
yeah.
so many challenges.
There was.
But there was harmless ones, like we're talking about the Ice Bucket Challenge, the
Mhm.
Cinnamon Challenge,
No, the cinnamon challenge was
which
definitely.
also had its dangers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like during this time a lot of people cared about following and views because of the same reason that I guess they wanted to get a huge following count and like be seen, I guess.
That's true. I think people were obsessing with, yeah, just like you said, followers, tweets, all that good stuff. Yeah, that's when social media really started to grow and people were really obsessed with it.
Yeah, because it first started appearing on social media platforms like Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. So those were, I think, during that time those were the three most popular.
I'm sure that if anything, that still exists today. It's just not as publicly out there
Yeah.
as back in 2017.
Yeah, and I feel like that's just really crazy about how like I guess I don't know. I just feel like all of it, this whole entire challenge is just really odd to me because like why would you try to like commit, I don't know, like why would you try to get other people to kill themselves too? Why would you try to motivate that? Like okay, say that I'm like playing the challenge and like for example, like a common way of committing suicide at the end, like on the 50th day, was jumping off a balcony or jumping off a high building and stuff like that, and causing a commotion in order to get the attention from others around you. And my thing is like, if you're killing yourself, well, like obviously that's a decision that you make, but why would you try to get the attention from others in order for them to do the same thing?
So, Yasmin, my question to you is there anything that maybe like the kids that might be thinking of doing this challenge, or maybe the parents that should be like looking out for their kids if they are involved with this challenge, what we should be looking out for?
I feel like situations like this sometimes aren't preventable, but I feel like there are some things that you can do and you can like possibly help the situation. Like, for example, looking at a change in behavior in your child, maybe keeping a closer eye on them, on what they do on like their technology, because I know now that a lot of people are just drowning in technology and their phone and their laptops. And I feel like a lot of parents forget to see what their child is doing and how they feel. And I feel like definitely like attention, they probably like need attention from their parents. So I feel like you can definitely help by like keeping an eye on your child, seeing if they need anything. But like I said, sometimes things like this are preventable, and it's not always going to be, you know, um like your fault if something like this does happen, because I know that there are some children out there who are sneaky, don't like talking about certain things. Um but I feel like if you are someone going through something, I feel like you should definitely look for help and not look for comfort in challenges like the blue whale challenge, because I feel like at the end you're not even benefited from it. I feel like you're just looking for a distraction. And like I said, if you feel this way, you should really talk to someone about it and, look for ways to feel better, or like, you know, just like look for help from your parents or from hotlines, talk to someone that you feel as though you can trust. And I feel like you can definitely just
Seek
like,
professional help, like
yeah, like seek
therapy.
professional help.
I think those are really good alternatives. Um, Obviously, we're not experts, we're just giving our opinion. I hope you guys enjoyed today's podcast. Stay safe, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye.
Bye.